Good evening. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt Show. Well, Denmark has proved it. Their tough migrant model works. Starmer needs to copy it in full. We need to deter, detain, and deport. If you agree or disagree, get in the chat box now. There's plenty to talk about tonight. But let me tell you, Denmark has reduced illegal migration by 90%. Why on earth can't the UK do exactly the same? Why can't Starmer get his finger out, stop all the arguing in the Labour Party, and concentrate on this issue? We want the flip-flop warriors stopped, don't we? Why don't we follow Denmark's route? And I'll tell you tonight exactly how they've done it. Because Denmark have done what... Good evening, by the way. Denmark have done what Britain keeps promising successive parties and governments, but never delivering. They've actually taken control of illegal migration. Their tough migrant model is simple. You can basically say it's the 3Ds, not the 3Ts. It's deter, detain, and deport. And it works. Their numbers prove it. Illegal migration down by 90%. Of course, there's been bleeding heart liberals whining about it, but I think their system is a superb one. And also, it's not a right-wing party who's put it forward. It's the Social Democrats. Now, we know the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has been looking at Denmark. But you watch, they won't adopt it. They'll do a kind of scaled down version, and it'll be about as much use as a chocolate fireguard. Why won't Starmer even try this? I'll tell you why. Because he's a human rights chicken. He's a coward. Shabana Mahmood, as I say, the Home Secretary of the United Kingdom, has openly admitted that she's studying Denmark's approach. She knows exactly how they cut asylum approvals to record lows. Now, they don't even try going there. Deter. That's what we need to do. But our government, the UK government, still hesitates. They're too busy having petty, stupid little rows and briefing against each other. But while they hesitate, the reality on the streets of Britain gets worse and worse. We've got rising illegal migrant numbers. The boats still keep coming. So there's growing pressure on local services. Hotels have been turned into, I was going to say temporary, but it's hardly temporary, into accommodation for these people. These people are getting NHS treatment. They've not paid a single penny in. And because of all this, frustration is spreading across loads of communities in the country, whether it's because you've got HMOs there, whether they want to put them in army camps next to you. People are getting angry. And the government, Starmer and the rest of them, are just avoiding tough decisions. I also wonder, and you tell me what you think, is Starmer's legal background holding him back? Is he more interested in the human rights and the ECHR of these illegal immigrants than your children, your wife, your daughter, your son, your family? Or is Westminster and the rest of Starmer's mob simply scared of taking the strong action that Denmark took? Are they frit, as Mrs. Thatcher would say? Do they not want to come over as the nasty party? I don't see how putting Britain's people first is nasty at all, but maybe they do. What do you think? So let's cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of this issue. No spin, no excuses, no establishment waffle. What you're going to hear tonight is how Denmark's model works, and you can tell me whether you think we should copy it. I think we should lock, stock, and barrel. But will Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, do it? I doubt it, but let's talk about it. Why is the government scared to get tough, to be nasty? After all, these people, we're talking about illegal immigrants. We're not talking about people who have come here in the correct manner. This isn't let's have mass deportation of all people from a different background. It's purely saying people who have got in illegally should be booted out, and they shouldn't have the same rights as people who are here already. Let's talk about the growing tensions around the Bell Hotel at Epping and indeed the HMOs. And let's talk about the sex attacks that have happened. Not that everybody who gets out of a dinghy, not every flip-flop warrior is a sex offender, but there's been too many already. We've got enough of our homegrown perverts, haven't we? The UK cannot continue like this. And whether the Denmark-style reset, it's just inevitable. So let's just get on with it. But as I say, at the moment, the problem is they're too busy arguing amongst themselves. If you've got a view, I want to hear it. Put it now in the comments box. But I'm saying we should follow Denmark with the D's. Look behind me. Deter. Delete. Deter. Deport. That's what it's going to be about. So somebody if they do come in, even though we've deterred them, we will then have to detain them behind locked fences and behind in old army camps. And then we deport them. What do you think? I don't want racist comments. UK Defender, no, take that filth down. These are human beings and they must be treated like human beings. I do not want racist filth. I want you to discuss this in a mature way. Thank you very much. All right, let's talk about how Denmark works. Their Prime Minister is a woman called Mette Frederiksen. She leads the Denmark's Social Democrats, and she's made reducing immigration a core promise since they took office in 2019. She's even been over to see Starmer. She declared that her aim is to pursue a zero refugee policy, deterring people from seeking asylum unless it's absolutely necessary. She has what she calls no tolerance for ghettos. She believes in no benefits for those who claim asylum but then have it rejected, different to us. And she believes that people should pay for their upkeep in hotels or whatever with jewelry or whatever valuables they've brought into the country. This has caused outrage with some of the Liberals, but I think it's perfectly reasonable. Now, the result of all this is pretty incredible, my friends, let me tell you. Asylum applications have fallen by 90% in the last 10 years. She's been in charge since 2019. They only had 2,333 last year. Let me just tell you what the figure was for the United Kingdom. It was 111,100. Something tells me that Denmark have probably got it right and we haven't. Because the whole idea of their system is built on the principle that asylum should only ever be temporary and conditional. For example, people fleeing war are granted refuge, but only for as long as the conflict lasts. Well, we've got a proud tradition of that, and we should continue to do it. But what they do in Denmark is, when the country is deemed safe, their home country, their right to stay is withdrawn, and they have to go home. Permanent residency only takes 8 years to obtain, and only if you've been in a job for at least 3.5 of the previous 4 years. Again, compare and contrast that to our system. Those with valuable possessions like jewelry are expected to help pay for their stay. There was a new law passed in 2016 by the previous government in Denmark, which said that the police, the coppers, can confiscate valuable items, watches, other high-value items to offset the cost of housing and food. What's wrong with that? If they're genuinely fleeing, they're looking for a better life, that's reasonable. Also, asylum seekers who are refused the right to remain, like many of ours, they're then sent directly to deportation centres where they do get fed, they do get looked after, they get 3 meals a day, but no cash benefits. Again, unlike us. This is the Jon Gaunt Show, by the way. If you're enjoying it, please press the like button. If you like what I'm talking about, Denmark, I want your opinions on it. And those camps, right, where they put these people, are run by the Danish Returns Agency. The clue is in the title. It's funded according to the number of removals it achieves. So they've got an incentive to get people out. And that's what they do. Here's a quote from their immigration minister. "We stand very hard against giving migrants the right to remain here. If you're rejected as an asylum seeker, you've got a very, very low possibility of staying in Denmark." Now, again, compare and contrast. Now, here's something else which you might not like, because you might be nodding going, well, we should do that. They also, Denmark, if a migrant agrees to go home voluntarily, they're offered financial incentives of up to, this is the maximum, £24,000 to help them restart their lives back in their home countries. The idea of this is to encourage return rather than them disappear into the so-called black economy. Now, you might think 24 grand, that's a lot of money, Gaunty. That's the maximum. But bear in mind, how much would it cost to keep them and their dependents? But that's the other thing as well. They don't allow them to bring in loads of relatives. They've also got massively strict integration rules so that anyone settling in Denmark has to adopt the language and the culture. All newcomers and their children must learn Danish or risk losing their asylum benefits. This is like a breath of fresh air, and none of this is wrong. You want to go and live in Denmark, you want to come and live in Britain, learn the language, learn the culture, fit in or ship out. Here's the next bit that the uber liberals are upset about. And in this country, people are already getting upset. Certain lefty MPs like Zara Sultana and that other one, Nadia Whitmore, they're already getting up on their high horses because they think this is wrong. And they hate the next thing I'm going to say. Denmark banned the burqa. Why aren't we doing this? They banned the burqa in public places. Denmark argues that full face coverings hinder integration and made continued residence dependent on passing citizenship and indeed language tests. Now, again, do you see anything wrong with that? Why don't we ban the burqa? You can still wear it in the mosque, you can wear it at home, but not in the streets. And here's another controversial. The previous government, before this social democrat turned up, and she hasn't reversed this, they've got an anti-ghetto law, which targets neighborhoods. Now, listen to this bit. This is really important. It targets neighborhoods where large numbers, and I quote, non-Western immigrants live in concentrated areas. They say the aim is to prevent parallel societies from forming. The law was updated in 2021 by the Social Democrats to allow councils to create, I quote, prevention areas where they can refuse to rent to people from outside Denmark, the EU, or the EEA, or indeed Switzerland. The Liberals call this discriminatory, and it's now being challenged, guess where? The European Court of Justice. But at the moment, it's the law, and most of the Danish Parliament and the majority of voters agree with it. Agree with it. Well, I think most people in this country would agree with all that. They also restrict so-called family reunification, i.e. bringing partners into Denmark. Everybody must be at least 24 years old. That's to stop child brides. They must be financially independent, and they've also got to pass the Danish language standards. What is wrong with this? Why don't we just copy what the Danes have done? Wouldn't you like to see the boats, the small boats, disappear down? Would you like to see a 90% cut? Because I would. So I would like your views. Maybe you've lived in Denmark. Maybe you won't understand. I've been to Denmark. I think I mentioned this before. I went to a radio conference there. It was incredible because at that time, they hadn't done this. And they were literally getting swamped, which I think we're getting in this country. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is about illegal migration. It's about putting them off so these people like we're seeing behind, because it's horrid, this. People are drowning in the channel. Now, of course, Denmark hasn't got a coast like us with the channel, etc., etc. Their people are coming in mostly over land and via lorries, but they're stopping it, and they have stopped it. 90% reduction. You want to live in Denmark, you're going to have to become Danish. So we wouldn't get the ridiculous thing that we got at the Villa Ground the other week. We're not having Jews playing football in Birmingham. We're not having Israelis. Who the hell do these people think they are? Fit in or ship out? So I'm asking you tonight, should we deter, detain, and deport? And do you think Starmer's got the spine to do it? Because I don't. But let's have that discussion. Let's get talking then. So I'm going to come to the comments now. 20 likes. That's brilliant. If you want to support me, press the little, $, and chuck a few quid in the hat. Because don't forget, we're totally independent here. Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. Lord Jim Dandy 5850 on YouTube says, evening, John and chat. Good evening. You're now on. This government is too weak, says Ronnie Hurst. I agree. I don't think they'll do it, but let's discuss it. Lord Jim Dandy's come back on to say, give them nout. They'll soon stop coming. No, they won't. No, they won't. That's not thought through, mate. That is not thought through. Where would you put them then? So they get out of the dinghy in Dover. Do you just let them starve on the streets? What other problems would that lead to? Crime, etc. No, you've got to deter them from coming. And it isn't as simple as you suggest. But let's have the discussion. Hi, John. I totally agree with you. Why can't Britain do what Denmark have done? I don't know, Craig Mawson, regular on YouTube. Daisy Bow Langley on Facebook says, yes, I agree. UK Defender, I'm not going to read out yours because it's filth. Don't describe anybody as a mongrel, which is what he's done. Do not do that. It's just filth. Just like when Katie Hopkins called these people cockroaches. They're not. They're people who, even if they're illegal, they're trying to better themselves. Don't dehumanize them. You're bigger and better than that. So what I'm going to do, because I don't even want that comment on my page, I'm deleting it. If you want to say something sensible, then fine. And if you think that's censorship, anyone, fair enough. I don't want you as a listener or a watcher. I'm not trying to be racist about this. I'm trying to make a sensible suggestion. Labour are weak. Career politicians without a future, says Ronnie. Well, yes, Ronnie. But the Conservatives were no better. Look at the situation we've got. It's the whole political class. So I'm saying let's be sensible. Let's deter, detain, and deport. But let's take in people who want to help, who are all right. But they should all come through the proper channels. That's where I'm coming from. Have you read about Denmark? Are you interested in what they've done? Let's try and have that conversation. This is interesting. Jackie Ward, a regular, says, Starmer is more a human rights lawyer than he ever is a leader. Well, Jackie, you've taken the words out of my mouth. I agree with you entirely. He can't shake his past. It runs through his bones. To him, an illegal's human rights come before the rights of the people of his own country that he's meant to be in charge of. He's not fit to run this country. Of course, John, we should follow Denmark's policy, and the sooner the better. Jackie, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, I always say about Starmer, he's like a stick of Blackpool rock. If you actually cut him in half, it would say human rights or ECHR. Do you know what I mean? Whereas me, you break me in half if you can manage it. I'd say Coventry City. Play up Sky Blues. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the problem. But you see, he's so weak now. And don't forget, Shabana Mahmood is trying to become, I don't want to do, but she's trying to become Prime Minister, along with West Streeting. The opportunity is now to try and force them into doing what we want. And I don't know about you. I don't know anybody who says, oh, yeah, let's just keep them coming. They're all fleeing persecution. Most people know that's bull, yeah? That 96% of them are trying to better themselves. I don't blame them. If I lived in some shithole like Sudan, I'd try and get here. But we can't take them all in. It's unsustainable. What was it, 2,500 people last week? Once the weather gets good. Weather's bad today, so there won't be any today. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And we can't have them all in hotels. So now they want to move them out of hotels. They want to put them in army camps. But they're not going to lock them up. They're not going to detain. And that's what you have to do. You have to deter them. So we had to have Rwanda or a ship in the channel. And then we have to have deportation of people who have come into our country illegally. Or we say to them quite simply, if you do enter our country illegally, you will never, ever be granted the right to stay. That's what we need to do. Because we've got a proud tradition. If they were genuine refugees, and I'm sure the experts can tell who's genuine and who's not, we would give them refuge. Look at Hong Kong. Look at all the people over the centuries, you could say, that this country has done it. We are not a racist country. We are actually tolerant, caring, and Christian in its widest sense. Let's have your view on that. And also particularly your view on banning the burqa. These things are tied together. Banning the burqa in public. That should have been done years ago. When I wrote for The Sun, I wrote a big article about that, and we had a picture of a woman, just her face in the burqa. It had the biggest single response of any column, well, I don't know about if it's now, but certainly at that point, that they'd ever had for somebody's opinion. Not only that, they repeated it and the photo the following Thursday or Tuesday, whenever I wrote for it. And I think that's still the mood in the country. And that isn't anti-Muslim, because you do realise the burqa is not part of the Muslim religion. It's a Saudi invention. And it's an oppression tool of women and particularly young girls. I hate it. But if you still want to wear that in the house, of course, fine. Just like I say, you want to keep practicing your religion, whether you're a Hindu, a Sikh, a Jew, whatever you are. That's one thing our great country does. So don't let the woke idiots, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and destroy this idea by saying we're far right or we're racist. Well, we're not. We just want to look after British people first. The people who are already here, whether they're black, white, yellow, blue, whatever, and whether they're any religion. I don't care. Put the British people first. With me or against me? Let's have your opinion. But banning the burqa, let's have some comments on that as well, please. The difference between our government and Denmark is they actually want to stop the illegal immigrants, says Denise. Well said, Denise. Because I think that's one of the problems. Why haven't, not just Starmer, Boris, why didn't we stop this before? I'll tell you why. Because the knobs with money wanted the cheap labour. That's why. I don't believe in all this population replacement. I know some people do, and fair dues do. But I think it comes down to simple pounds, shilling and pence. They like the black economy that has been created. I went and got my hair cut today. Look at that here. by a Kurdish guy, in the traditional Turkish barbers. I was quite amazed. It was busy. But no, I think he's probably genuine, this geezer. He's working his socks off, making a living. Great. Good luck to him. I think he's made quite a good job of it. Although, why do barbers put all that muck on your hair? I hate it. Still smell it now. No, thank you. Next time. All right, let's take some other people. Laura Delay, 25, one of my regulars. Come on, Keir Starmer, get a grip, from Laura. I agree with you, but I'd be even more ruthless. Starmer is a prick. Well, how more ruthless do you want to be than Denmark? To me, it seems pretty hard and harsh, but correct. Putting the Danish people first. Danish. Do you remember that advert? All right, let's have some more comments on this, please. If you want to comment on the burqa, you want to comment on our immigration problem, I just think we've had enough now arguing about Starmer and enough about these petty Labour squabbles. Obviously, there's a massive story about the BBC, which we'll talk about again tomorrow. Because I'm going to do an extra show tomorrow, it being Friday, even though I don't normally. And there'll be one on Sunday. But don't forget, the best thing to do is to subscribe to Jon Gaunt TV on YouTube. Then you'll never miss a show. You'll always get a notification. Doesn't cost anything. It's totally free. What does cost something is you donating a few quid to keep these podcasts going, to keep independent broadcasting going. And if you don't think that's important about, especially now after another talk jock, whether you liked him or not, and I wasn't that keen, Mike Graham, they just pull the microphone away from him, like they did to me 10 or so years ago. So if you want independent voices, I'm sorry, you've got to pay for it a bit. So if you can afford anything, make a contribution. Just click the $sign. Donate a couple of quid, donate 10 quid, donate 100 quid, donate whatever you want. Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. You'll know it's me. You'll see my face. And donate anything from a £5 upwards. Please help us out. Pam Millett. What's that say? The Ralik Clery Abu Qatada, a.k.a. Osama bin Laden's ambassador in Europe. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Why don't you just say Abu Qatada? Bin Laden's ambassador in Europe cost UK taxpayers over 1.7 million in legal deportation or related expenses. The UK spent over a decade trying to send him back to Jordan on terror charges. And the barrister who defended him in court, I see the point now, was Keir Starmer. Yeah, he's defended loads of those scumbags. You're absolutely right. But he's now, Pam, the Prime Minister. So get your bloody priorities right, Starmer. Or are you saying perhaps he can't? Maybe you're right. We need a tough illegal immigration policy. I think the Danes have probably got it right. But the problem is, Shabana's going to say, because they're all talking about it now, we're going to follow Denmark's rules, but they won't. They won't do it. It'll be a watered down version and it'll fail. Cumbrian Mackham 9296 says paying illegal immigrants to leave voluntarily will incentivize even more of them to travel to Europe. I used to hold that view, Cumbrian, and I can see where you're coming from, mate, but I don't think it will. I think that once they're here, they've had their asylum, they've been biometrically tested and all the rest of it. If they fail, then we should chuck them out again if they come back again. But isn't it better to give them some cash so they can go back to their country and get themselves organised? It hurts. I don't want to. It sticks in my gullet. I don't want to pay that money. But it's probably better than they're letting it drag on and drag on. I mean, part of this, Denmark have done this without leaving the ECHR. See, I would say we should do Denmark plus policy. We've got to get out the ECHR and we've got to have our own Bill of Rights. But you can't always have everything you want. So, and I used to be dead set against giving anybody any money. I'm certainly against that sex offender from Ethiopia. I'd have shackled him and chucked him in the hold of a plane and chucked him back in Ethiopia. Right? Bye. But, and that's nothing Denmark do. When they do deport people, it's harsh. They don't mess about. Off you go. And that's what we've got about. That's what I'm trying to say. We need to be hard, harsh, but humane with it, because these are human beings. But we can argue about that, Cumberland, if that's your point. That's a fair point you're making. If they're offering up to 24,000, I might go to Denmark and get deported with a pocket full of dosh, says Jackie Ward. Yes, Jackie, but come on, play the game. We're paying people to go now already. We've got to solve the problem. Denmark has learned a valuable lesson. Fair play to them, says Ronnie. Thank you. Keir Starmer, stop running away from our problems and start sorting out our problems right now. And that's from Laura. She's telling you off. Because Starmer has paid France to fund the boats to UK, YouTube Danny Tomo. Oh, please, if you're going to write a message, I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that Danny Thompson, who works with Tommy Robinson, he's exposed all this. It's not all 100% true what he said, but there is this story that the boats are being taken back and then brought back again. I don't necessarily believe it. I certainly don't think it's the British government. This guy said, look at his live 10 hours ago. Listen, if you want to do PR for him, Der Kaffer, you do it, but don't do it on my show if you don't mind. Thank you. Let's move on. I've got 2% Danish DNA. I wonder if that would get me in. It's looking very appealing. The only problem is, when I was in Denmark for a week, it was lovely. I was in Copenhagen. Bloody expensive. Even in those days, it was about £7 for a pint of Carlsberg. But it was a bit like when you go to Ireland with Guinness. Guinness tastes completely different in Ireland, doesn't it, to how it tastes back in Blighty. But I don't think it was worth £7.50. But the breakfast, it's all roll mop herrings and pickles. Not for me. I want an English, full English, or Scottish if I'm in Scotland. Deport, yes, says Ronnie. You've had a few days tonight. No spine at all, says Daisy Bo Langley. Thank you for your comments. Here we got now. The French are loving letting them into our country, says Maggie Young. Our Navy needs to protect our borders now. I'm glad you brought that up, Maggie, because it was interesting. I don't know if you've seen GB News today. When we finish, go and have a look at it. They've got a superb report by Mark White, their expert. Basically, he's gone to some northern French villages. And there's these illegal migrants running through the village, about 40 of them, with a blooming dinghy on their head, all carrying the dinghy because they're going to launch it into the river. So you probably think, oh, yeah, well, the French police will nick them. No French police in sight. So I agree. They're just waving them through to us. Why we've given them all that money is beyond me. We should be giving money to Denmark so they can teach us what to do, if anything. But I just think we've got to deter, detain, and deport. If they knew they were going to go into an army camp, be sleeping in tents, no squeezy soap, they might get the message. It's not worth the risk. Same as we've got to stop the hokey-cokey ones who come in and then go out and then come back in again. The other thing in this Mark White report today, they had a bloke and he's videoing himself and he's in a tent over in Calais somewhere and it's bucketing down and it's horrible where he is, right? 2 days later, he makes another video. I tell you, I nearly kicked the telly in. 2 days later, he makes another video. He's lying on a bed in like a it's not Travelodge, but a Hilton, a proper 4-star hotel. He's watching Premier League football and we're fucking paying for it. How can that be right? But it was on GB News today. It was there. He'd made the video himself. He was basically going to all of us. That's what's got to be stopped. See, so in Denmark, if you get asylum and you sort yourself out, they do give you 3 meals a day like this, but they don't give you any money. Because don't forget this thing, they say, asylum seekers don't get any money. That's bullshit. They don't before their process starts, but the moment it starts, they do. And they get 3 meals a day, and they get full medical care, and they get taxes to doctors and hospitals. See, that's the thing. I didn't read that bit out. There's another bit in Denmark. You don't get all the benefits, medical care and all the rest of it, until you've lived and contributed. Perfectly reasonable. Try going to America and getting medical care if you haven't paid into the pot. We're too soft. Do you agree with me? Talking of money, no one's donated yet. Why are you being so slow tonight? Come on, help me out. You know it's necessary. Upton Andrew says they haven't got the backbone. This is on Facebook. Thanks to a certain previous Labour leader who helped tie us up in knots with human rights legislation, you mean Mr. Blair, they should still be able to appeal, and the taxpayers alive have to pay for that as well. You couldn't make it up. Oh, they did. Yeah, nice little message. Thank you very much, Andrew. Let's go to Richard Pope, one of my regulars. Good evening, John. I hope they do follow Denmark's policies, and I agree with what you say. If they don't, they will make themselves even more unpopular. Starmer has had it, hopefully, and this won't help him. Well, just on that subject, Richard, this is why I'm talking about it tonight. This will be all over the news and papers in a couple of weeks' time, because once the budget's out of the way and they've whacked up your taxes by 2p, they're going 2p in the pound. They're then going to need something that will make you think, oh, they're not too bad. So they're going to do a whole thing about being tough on the small boats. And that's where we've got to hold their feet to the fire. We need to say, yeah, we agree with you, Shabana Mahmood. Let's follow Denmark. But let's follow them to the letter. I'm telling you, they're already MPs, traitors, I'd call them, like Zara Sultana, who are objecting to the very idea that we're looking at what Denmark has done. That's the enemy within. That's the enemy within. And that's the worry to me. So the moment she says, yeah, I'm going to do what Denmark are doing, we've got to say, yeah, let's have it full on. We don't want Denmark light, L-I-T-E. We want full fat Denmark, don't we? Do you agree with me or disagree with me? This is the Jon Gaunt podcast. Thanks for listening and watching. If you're listening on a podcast at the moment while you're walking the dog, fine. Don't forget, you can also see me in full glorious colour, and I'm in one of my nice shirts tonight. Just go to Jon Gaunt TV on YouTube. A little pop-up will come up saying, do you want to subscribe? Say yes. It doesn't cost a single penny. It just means that my subscriber numbers go up, which helps me, but it also means you get notified every time I'm doing an extra video. And I'm always doing extra ones. I mean, I am generally here Monday to Thursday. I wasn't here this Tuesday, but I did do one on Sunday. So you still get the same amount. I don't need to justify it. But if you'd like to help me financially, just make a little donation by clicking the $ if you can and donate something, whatever you can afford. Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. 37 minutes. I've got to go soon. Oh, excuse me. Paul Rowbottom. I've said from the off, with everything that's on offer, who can blame them from coming? Paul, you're being very sensible. As I said before, if I lived in one of those countries, I'd probably want to get here as well. So I don't hold it against individuals. That's why I don't like people calling them filthy words. I just don't like that. They're just trying to better themselves. We can't have them. We can't have them because it's unsustainable. But do you understand where I'm coming from? I thought we'd get more comments on the burqa. There's one boat not coming today. It got smashed up. Go away. Go and play with the fascist, you arsehole. I don't want you on my show because you don't need to be like that. What do you, are you like the school bully? Do you get off on that? They give you a hard on. Writing filth like that. You make me sick. All face coverings, Denise Deacon says, should be banned. Jackie Ward says, I could ban the burqa and halal slaughter today. Well, I agree with that as well. Both of those things. Thank you for that. Right, listen, I've really now had enough of you, dear Kaffa. Either stop the filth or I'll just ban you permanently. I don't need it. I just do not need it. And what you do by coming on with filth, you give them credence, the lefties, because they can say, oh, look at him, look at that moron, they're all like that. Well, we're not. And I certainly don't want to be like you. We've been sold down the river by progressive governments, says Ronnie Hurst. Thank you, Ronnie, for that. There we are. I've just banned him. I've had enough of him. Not you, Ronnie, the arsehole after you. Sonia, 111238 or something, says weak spineless government and authorities appeasing Islamic bullies, abandoning the British people and our beliefs, supporting Islam first. It's a damn disgrace. Well, I'm not sure they're supporting Islam. And I haven't got a problem with Islam in general at all. I think all religions nonsense, Sonia. But if they are, that's fine. If you want to be Islamic, that's fine. What we don't want is people in this country who are Islamist. Do you understand what I mean? That's the difference. Sonia says, hi, John and chat. Hi, Sonia. Thank you for being on board. I think she's a new listener or new viewer. That's good to see. Anyway, look, I'm packing in now. 35 so far likes. Maggie Young says, stop the burqa now. What is all war one total chaos? What if we all wore one? It'd be total chaos. I agree with you, Maggie. I do not understand. I mean, when I wrote that article in The Sun, it was a situation where even I, at that point, couldn't believe we'd get to a stage where you go to like Birmingham or parts of Coventry, where most of the women appear to be dressed in a burqa. I don't think it's good for society. I really don't. And I do think it's a weapon. I mean, look at that dreadful story today about the little girl who got murdered by her dad, Sharif. Yeah. They didn't know she had those damages, those scars on her body. Yeah. Why? Because they couldn't look under the headscarf. Political correctness got in the way again. Relentless, number 5 P8Y. Jon Gaunt TV, why did you ban him, John? He's telling the truth about the boats. I banned him because I asked him to stop saying filth. He called them mongrels at one point, and I'm sorry, I don't need that. I don't want it in my life. That's not where I'm at. They're human beings. They're human beings. And it's a problem that we've contributed to. There's no point. That is not being liberal. That's just being sensible. And also, when you come on and just spout racist shit, it just gives the enemy ammunition. Do you not see that? Do you not see that? So you can be big. Oh, I'm a big boy. I can do this anonymously. Well, go and do it on your own channel. Don't do it here because it doesn't add. It doesn't add to the debate. Maggie Young, she's given me all the claps and a sky blue heart, so I can go now. Thank you. And USA, where's this one? USA, 1776, July the 4th, says, what is your favourite country? My favourite country, of course, is my country. My favourite country is the United Kingdom. My favourite part of the United Kingdom, Scotland, probably. My favourite other countries, the United States of America and India. That's where I like going. Oh, the Caribbean, of course. Not that I've got anybody to do that anymore. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, this guy's not giving up. You, dear Cafe, never called them filth. You know, he called them mongrels, which is worse than filth. But I don't need to justify myself to you. If you don't like what I'm doing, don't watch. It's up to you, mate. But I'm not putting up with people calling other human beings mongrels. I'm just not putting up with it. All right? Jackie Ward, thank you very much indeed. Right. Finished. Thank you very much indeed for your contributions. I'm sorry if I upset you by banning a racist, but that's life, isn't it, eh? I don't understand why people want to be racist. I just don't get it. I'm sorry. Maybe I've turned into a bleeding heart liberal, eh? Never mind. Right, I'll be back tomorrow at some point, probably earlier than 6:30. But if you want to join in, feel free. I shall speak to you then. Relentless, why are you just going on and on? Do you know what? Go watch. Am I interested? No. Do you want to get banned as well? Well, shut up, right? I'm not interested in your drivel, right? Anyway, that's me done. I'm back tomorrow. Make sure you tune in then. Do please join Jon Gaunt TV on YouTube. Do please donate if you fancy. That would be great if you could. Pam Millett's going to finish me on a nice note. She says, I've agreed with everything that you've said tonight, John. Thank you, Pam. We don't always agree, and that's fine. All right. I'll be back then tomorrow sometime, if not, definitely over the weekend. Until I see you again, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.